October 11th, 2018. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 165 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Now, before we tell this story, I think we should preface this with, we are recreational gamblers, right? We have plenty of losses that we often don't talk about because the stories aren't particularly interesting.
No, they're just boring.
Right. So I just want to emphasize that we have plenty of losing sessions. Certainly, we're both down for our lives when it comes to recreational gambling. So just want to say that up front, and now we'll tell you our big story.
That's quite an intro, my friend. Quite an intro.
So this last weekend, of course, we headed up to Harrah's as usual. First, though, we made a pit stop at Jamul Casino.
Yes, we started our gambling day much earlier than normal.
It was way early. It was a Saturday, and you were able to get off work earlier.
Right.
So it was much earlier. So we said, well, let's go to Jamul first for two things. You had some free play coming.
Right. Every Saturday, I've got free play.
And they're running a tier matching deal this month.
Right.
So we said, well, let's go.
And they were giving me a frying pan. Don't forget the frying
that's
pan.
Right, I forgot.
Turned out it's a pretty good pan.
It's a good pan.
Yeah.
It looked like a good one when you picked it up.
Oh, yeah. My wife liked it. She
Good.
used it right away.
So we headed over there, and since we're both 7 stars at Harrah's, they gave us their Pearl tier level. They have 5 tier levels at Jamul, starting from the bottom: Ruby, Aqua, Amber, Pearl, and finally Onyx. So 5 different levels. They gave us Pearl.
We were both rubies.
We were both rubies before we went in.
Which I kind of like. But
why? Because your daughter?
Yeah,
oh,
that's
okay.
my daughter's name, Ruby.
Yeah, right.
But then we went up and they gave us pearls.
Pearl, right? They wouldn't give us Onyx, which I can kind of understand. That's like they're
you
really
should have to earn that,
right? We certainly haven't. We haven't even been giving them Pearl play. So
no,
this was a nice little
right.
jump up in tier for. And in fact, Mike, you've been getting tons of free play.
I've
for them,
been
right?
getting tons of free play, and I go out there and play my free play, and maybe a little more, but not much.
Not much more. But they keep sending it to you.
They keep sending me free play and gift cards too.
Yeah.
A bunch of gift cards.
Yeah.
So I just go out there every Friday night just before midnight. I get there and I get my $75 Amazon card, my $150 Starbucks card, my $150 Target card.
Yeah. Now let's tell
my kids are loving this.
Let's tell everybody the full story, okay? It's not just that you go to Jamul right before midnight on Friday.
No.
This is after having gone up to Harrah's
right
for a buffet and to get your free play there.
I take my wife and children. I get out of work. I get my wife, my children. We load up the car. We head up to Harrah's.
And that's almost an hour drive, from your house to Harrah's.
Yeah,
okay.
and with Friday night traffic, sometimes it's more than an hour.
Okay, right.
And then this is our thing. We get our free gift because they have a gift giveaway.
It's like luggage this month, right?
Yeah, luggage this month. Last month was cooking utensils. And my wife gets them too.
Oh, separately on her card.
Right,
Gotcha.
on her card. So we're getting like double gifts.
Okay.
And then we go get our free play, which my wife has a little too. Mm-hmm. And then we go to the buffet, and my kids like to, eat a buffet. They like the dessert menu more than anything else. And then at the end of the buffet, I stay with the girls and we pig out on dessert. And my wife takes all the free play and plays the free play.
Because she's been having really good luck with that.
She's had very good luck with video poker.
Okay, so what time is it by now then? Maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, about 8:30, 9 o'clock.
All right, so how long does it take you to get from Harrah's to Jamul?
That's another hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, yeah, on the road, yep. Okay.
And then we drive to Jamul. The kids always bring pillows and blankets. And
That's right, because Jamul is absolutely 21 and over to even step foot in the place.
They cannot go in.
Yeah.
Right.
So they went in the car.
Yeah. So we have 3 rows in the car. So one gets in the second row and lays down. One gets in the third row and lays down. My wife and I are in the front. We drive out to Jamul. I park in the structure, and my wife stays in the car with the kids while I run in to get my free gift card.
Yeah.
And usually we get home between 11 and 12.
That's pretty good Friday night.
Yeah.
And then the next day is when you and I actually go to play at the
then
casino.
I go to work, and then as soon as I'm through with work, you and I head to Harrah's and play. See, now they don't mind at Harrah's me coming and getting free play without playing, I don't think, because the next night we give them plenty of action.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Well, I mean, when you say they, I don't know who's looking at it. Mark marketing or whoever does it look like, hey, you didn't play on Friday night. It doesn't seem to be hurting you.
No, it doesn't.
Based on the free play.
It does not seem to be hurting me at all.
All right, so back to our story. We went out to Hamul, and you had some free play, and we played it at a blackjack table. In fact, you let me play with some of the chips, and we won. You won on that, right? I mean,
we won $300 on that, right?
On like 200 in free play.
Yeah, in free play. I cashed out for 5.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I didn't really give them any money. I mean, it was just their money and we were playing with, right?
Yeah.
We did well.
Yeah. So that was a good start. And then we drove up to Harrah's, which again is about an hour and 20 minutes.
We put the frying pan in the car and we drove right up to Harrah's. We didn't even stop at home.
Nope, just straight up there. And we played for a little while. I think it was like a $15 table. It was going fine. And then it started to get kind of sour there. It was getting cold.
It wasn't bad, but it
wasn't bad.
It was just, not as good as it was initially.
Right. So we looked over and there was an empty $25 table. So I was all right, let's go over there. And, up and down. And then I got the dice and I rolled a 5-point fire bet.
Right. And it was just you and I at the table.
At that point, it was just the two of us. So it was going quickly. And, when you roll 5 to the fire, you're winning money anyway.
Right, because you made 5
points.
points.
Right, it wasn't...
And I think you repeated a couple. You probably made about 7 points.
8 points. I was telling you. Yeah, I counted. 8 points altogether, 5 unique. And I was rolling some hard ways for you, wasn't I?
Oh, my God. You rolled so many hard ways. Yeah. I think you rolled 5 hard 8s during that roll. 3 hard 6s, 2 hard 4s, and a hard 10.
Yeah. So then I think more people started coming to the table and the dice went around the table. And then you got the dice.
Right.
And you rolled a 5-point fire bet.
Yep. We both rolled one.
First time that's ever happened in one session for us. We've had it on one trip to Vegas. It happened, but it's never happened at one session at a table. So, of course, at that point, we're just doing great. I mean, it's we're looking at our stacks and it's like, okay, this is going to be a pretty good night.
Yeah.
Then on the hour, they were calling 5 names every hour to split $7,500 in free play.
Yeah, so they call 5 names, and if all 5 people show up, each person gets $1,500.
Right.
For a total of $75. Mm-hmm. But in our case, they called my name.
Your name got called. It's so funny because you had to go up in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
I had to leave in the middle of a pretty good roll.
And we'll talk about that in a second. But with your group, that was just you and 2 other people, right?
Right. Only 3 of us showed up.
So you 3 split the $7,500.
Right. So we got $2,500 apiece.
Wow.
And it's so funny because the other 2 were like, oh, maybe they're not showing. Maybe they're and they've got a big clock there, and they're counting it down 5, 4. And I'm thinking, I just want to go back to crap. I mean, I wished all 5 had just showed up right away so I don't have to stand there for 5 minutes.
Mike. Well,
I got to stand there for 5 minutes and wait. If they'd all showed up, we'd be, we're all here. Okay, divide it.
Well, Mike asked the pit boss, said, hey, can Mark run my bets while I'm gone? Because sometimes they'll just say no. Yeah. But I think they're familiar with the 2 of us enough.
Well, they know the dealers could make my bets.
They could, right? And they knew that I would know what you wanted to do as far as pressing. And as it turned out, when you left the table, the next 3 rolls were 3, 3, 7 out. Yeah. So you didn't miss a thing.
I didn't miss one thing. Yeah. And then there was a fill because we had wiped them out.
The fill, they had to come with a fill all the chips.
So I got back by the time the next roll was
that's true.
Right?
Yeah, you did not miss very much. So now it's just turning into a crazy night. It's like, okay, this is going to be one of our biggest ones. He said, hey, Mike, how come you're not playing roulette? We got to go over, play roulette at the same time. So you went over and played roulette, bet on 22.
Yeah, and hit it right off the bat.
Jeez. Oh, my gosh.
I think I won $600 on roulette.
Well, we stayed for a little bit longer, and the rolls were okay. Actually, afterwards, it was fine. And then
it was not bad. It was funny because after all that, it never got like ice cold.
No.
It's like, a guy would make a point in 3 or 4 numbers, and, so they were all like, maybe lose a little, win a little rolls. There were nothing bad happen, which usually is not the case for us.
And then finally, after maybe a couple of quick 7 outs, we said, well, we got some free play here. Let's just go play our free play. And we did, and we waited. At 11 o'clock, they were giving away $20,000.
Right.
So we waited till 11 o'clock. They didn't draw our names. And at midnight, we had free play.
For Sunday.
So it would go into effect at midnight. We could actually cash it in at midnight because it was Sunday free play. And we both looked at each other and it's like, let's just go home. I don't want to stay here for another 45 minutes, play more craps, maybe lose.
Right. I didn't want to lose any of the.
Right. So often we're wiped out the next day. So we went home. We actually, did not. We chose to forego the free play.
I forego $200 free play, and I had my biggest
for you,
night
that's
ever.
not a big. No, that's true. You had your biggest night up there at Harrah's ever, correct?
Right, at Harrah's ever.
Yeah,
I mean, it was huge.
Yeah, it really was.
It was,
and they have
substantially huge.
Yeah, they have a new policy now too at Harrah's where you can tip the dealers on the fire bet more than it used to be. Used to be they had a maximum of $5. Right. And when we rolled the fire bets, you would actually tip them $5 on my spot and $5 on your spot.
Right.
So they had $10 on it.
Right.
So $10, they got $2,500 each time we rolled the fire bet.
Right. So they collected $5,000 in fire bets.
Just on that. And then you had so much for them on the hard ways. Mike, how much?
Well, your last 2 hard eights, I had $100 for them.
For them.
For them.
Yeah.
Yeah. 200 for me and 100 for them. And that hit twice. And then they hit, 50s and 40s and dropped well over $9,000 in the tip box.
I think it was more than that, Mike. I think it was closer to 15, to be honest.
Well, it could have been.
Because, we were thinking of it.
Well, I knew it was 5, 6, 7, 8. I can guarantee,
Sure.
I remember. And I know we tipped a lot more on other stuff.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was tipping too, but I was going like $32 across, right?
Yeah.
And so a hard 8 would come up and it's like, thanks, Dr. Mike. They're dropping like $900. They're still out there.
Got your 14.
Yeah, don't forget. No, it's only 7.
Oh, right. Oh, that's right. You had $6.
Don't forget the $7 you're winning from me. Oh, thank you, Mark. It's like, why do I even bother?
And they had to put that all in quarters. They did use some hundreds, but they put a lot in quarters.
They have to do a lot, but even some, because they had put so much in the fire
full.
bet. Yeah, it was full. They actually did have to start using more blacks.
They had to start using blacks. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is then on Monday, I had, unfortunately, to go to a funeral.
Right, in the morning.
In the morning. And then I didn't go back to work after that because the funeral kind of went long and everything. So I had some free play, and I went out there to get my free play.
Yeah.
Ended up playing and ended up
having
another huge monster roll and winning a lot and dropping another like 4,000. So it might have been close to like, between 15 and 20,000 for the dealers. And
Amazing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my biggest night at Harrah's. It's just, the way I was betting. But boy, with all those hard ways and everything coming up for you. And it was certainly one of my biggest nights for sure. Yeah. So that was very exciting. All right, Mike. Now, I'm just going to turn this over to you. You've got a little something to say about...
I got something to say. We've been doing a lot of sports wagering lately.
It's kind of... we've been doing more than normal because in the past we said, we don't really bet on sports. And so we've been doing a little bit more. And I mean nickel dime stuff, really. Not much money at all.
Money.
Just to keep our interest.
And just as an aside, I'll have to say this. You can win thousands and thousands of dollars of craps, and that gets you excited. But, we win $5 on a sports bet, and we're like, yes!
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're not betting large sums of money. We just like to know that we could pick winners.
We have, right? That's what we like to know. I don't think it's going so well, Mike. Well, that's what we like to know.
I mean, it's not, we don't win them all, that's for sure. Yeah, but we, every once in a while we come up with a gem.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, because we're wagering a lot, I am so frustrated with NFL kickers. I know we've talked about this before. Yeah. How many point after attempts were missed this weekend? It's crazy.
And it wasn't just this weekend. It's going back several weeks, right? Yeah.
But it's just crazy. Yeah. I mean, field goals, a 30-yard field goal is like an adventure now. Mm-hmm. And I'm used to the days, back in the 80s, let's go back there, field goal kickers were pretty automatic under 40. Mm-hmm. 40 to 50 was like 80% of them would be made. Mm-hmm. And then above 50, it probably dropped to, like a 50-50.
Yeah.
And, they didn't try and kick 60-yarders. It'd be a 52 or 53, just barely above 50. But now, seriously, it can be like a 30-yard field goal attempt, and I'm worried because they're terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. There's no explaining it. These are young guys. As a matter of fact, and I was telling you this weekend, we're watching the games, most of the kicks that were made that were of any length were by older kickers. And that should not be. Their legs should be weaker. They should be older. It should be the young guys kicking like 65-yarders. So in this weekend, there were so many missed, but there was also the second longest field goal in NFL history.
I picked Carolina in the survivor pool, the Better Life survivor pool, and it looked like, they might lose. He kicks a 63-yarder to win the game. After all the misses everybody's having, a 63-yarder.
Second longest in history.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Just the Green Bay game, talking about, right? That definitely affected us, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, we lost that game on our wager, and Green Bay missed 4 field goals and a point after.
Yeah.
4 field goals and a point after. Unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. So I'm sitting there and I'm just fuming on the couch, right? Eating my chips and salsa and just fuming. And my wife...
It's not like they're doing it on purpose. It's not like a decision they've made.
No,
right?
It just pisses me off. We're losing our bets because they can't kick field goals? You weenies. I mean, they're terrible. So then my wife says, you know who they need? They need Gus.
Gus the mule?
The mule. Gus the mule, the field goal kicker, the old Disney movie. So that movie had Don Knotts. It had Ed Asner.
Yeah.
It had Tim Conway. It had Johnny Unitas as himself.
Okay.
And it had Dick Butkus was in that.
Yeah.
And I don't think he played himself. I think I think he played somebody, right? Anyway, that mule could kick field goals.
Is there any rule in the NFL rules that say all the participants have to be human?
I doubt it. There's probably not. I don't think they're that specific.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what. So Lynn says, they should just, they need Gus. And I'm like, well, yeah, they've got all these other asses out there. What's wrong with Gus? Why can't Gus be out there?
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Why can't Gus be out there? Oh my God. It drives me. It infuriates me.
Well, if that's the worst thing that you get upset about,
you know me. I mean, I can take a lot. I can take losing a few football bets, but
Dr.
I can't
Mike
take
a lot.
I can't take losing a football bet when the field goal kicker misses 4 field goals. Probably at least 2 of them were under 35 yards. And I mean, they weren't even close. Yeah. Oh, and how about the Cleveland game?
Oh, right. That overtime
goes into
game?
Overtime. Cleveland wins it on a field goal that was probably the worst kicked field goal I've seen.
It barely got over the crossbar. It was so low.
It was knuckling. And it's like a 34-yarder, whatever. I don't know. It wasn't very long. I don't know the exact.
No, it wasn't long. It was the kind of thing that if you saw where it cleared, it's like, that must have been a pretty long field goal.
You know what they ought to do? They ought to have more of these contests at halftime where they pick 2 people at random from the stands and they get them down there to kick field goal. They're probably going to find their field goal kicker. It's probably going to be some 8-year-old girl. Seriously, I mean, they cannot kick field goals.
All right, Mike, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
I don't know. I mean, it's just so frustrating. I mean, come on.
All right.
You're in the NFL.
Yeah, all right. Yes. All
supposedly Premier League, right? Bring back the USFL. That's what I say.
Oh, there you go. I'd be up for that.
Field goals.
Was that what they were known for?
Yeah, they were known for.
Hey, XFL's coming back, right?
Yeah, nobody could score, but they could kick field goals. And then, I forgot another thing here.
What?
We're watching it, and one of the announcers, I don't know what game it was because we're watching Red Zone, and it's going from game to game. Yeah. One of the announcers said the way to win football games is to score touchdowns, make field goals, and make your point after attempts. That's the secret. Maybe that should be a letter sent out to all the players and coaches in the NFL. Oh, here's how you do it. Score touchdowns, make your field goals, make your point after.
It's a big plaque that they have to slap when they leave the locker room, right? You know, like they do above their head.
Right. Like Notre Dame when they hit their plaque.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on. So,
college football, that's what I'm watching.
Yeah, college football, they're all making their
they can
kicks.
Make their place. They can make field goals.
All right, listener Adam from Australia sent us an email. He came across a new table game at the Adelaide Casino called Lucky Pairs. Apparently, it's the first location the game has been offered anywhere in the world. And when Adam sat down to play, he found the creator of the game standing behind him, giving him advice. And he sent us the rules of the game. Let's talk about it because it's an interesting game, and I want to get your opinion on it too, Mike, what you think of it. So let's talk about the rules behind this game, Lucky Pairs. It uses a standard 52-card deck with 2 jokers, so 54 cards altogether. And the jokers are wild, completely wild.
I already like it. I like wild jokers.
With wild jokers, right. Okay. The game uses 2-card hands. So a pair is the best hand. If the hand is not a pair, the two cards are added together, kind of like blackjack totals.
Okay.
Aces are 11, always 11. There'd be no reason for them to be 1 because you want a high total. Aces are 11, face cards are 10, and all other cards are their number value. Higher pairs beat lower pairs. Aces are high. So, pair of jacks beats a pair of threes.
Right.
Any pair beats a non-pair.
So a pair of twos beats ace king.
Right. Mm-hmm. And higher totals beat lower totals. So in your example, if you had ace king, that would be 10 deuce, a 21 versus a 12.
Right. Okay.
Right. So players start by making an ante-wager. And then the player and the dealer are each dealt 2 cards face down. The player looks at their cards and decides whether to fold or to stay in. If they fold, they lose their ante-wager and the game's over. If they decide to stay in, they must make an additional wager. And I'm not sure exactly what this additional wager is called. We'll just call it a back wager because you kind of put it behind your ante. So if the player decides they want to play, they must make an additional wager equal to the amount of their ante-wager. So if you had $5 on the ante and you wanted to stay in, you had to make a $5 back wager as well.
Okay.
Once the back wager is made, then the dealer turns over their hand. If the dealer doesn't have a pair and their total is 13 or lower, they do not qualify.
Oh, okay.
That's no qualify.
So if they had like 6, 7 in their hand, no qualify.
No qualify. 13 and lower, and no pair, obviously. 13 and lower, no qualify. In that case, the player's ante-wager is paid at even money, regardless of what the player's hand is, even if the player had a worse hand. Right. And the game is over. The back wager is not paid.
Right. So just a push.
Only the ante-wager is paid at even money. If the dealer has a pair or their hand total is 14 or higher, they do qualify. So then the dealer's and the player's hands are compared. If the dealer's hand beats the player's hand, the ante and the back wagers both lose. Simple.
Right.
If the dealer's hand and the player's hand are the same, that's a tie and it's a push. The ante and the back wagers both push.
Okay.
If the player's hand beats the dealer's hand, the ante is paid at even money, and then the back wager is paid differently depending on what the player's hand is. If the player has a pair of jokers, the back wager is paid 10 to 1.
And jokers are higher than aces.
Yes, and I'll get to that. Jokers are higher than aces, but we'll talk about how those hands kind of play out.
Okay.
If the player has any other kind of pair, the back wager is paid 2 to 1. And for all other hands, it's just paid even money.
Okay.
So now, regarding ties, a pair of jokers beats a pair of aces. But if a joker is being used to make a pair, let's say somebody has joker 6.
Okay.
That would tie with a natural pair of sixes. So
what about joker ace would tie pair of aces?
Pair of aces.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
The only difference is that a pair of jokers does beat a pair of aces.
Right. If there's 2 jokers.
Right. Okay. Now, what comes to hand totals, if the totals are the same, it's a tie. It's a push. So, for example, if the dealer had ace 5 and you had jack 6, those are both 16. Okay. So it's not like the ace would be higher than the jack.
Okay, you don't go to the
you don't go
suits
to, just like
ranks.
In blackjack, it's the same total, it's a push. Now, when Adam was playing this, the creator told him that the way to play it is you should stay in with a total of 12 or more. Well, a pair, obviously. If you have a pair, stay in. Or if you have a total of 12 or more, stay in.
Okay.
And he also said if you have 6-5, also stay in. I guess just because when 1-6 and 1-5 are removed from the deck, I mean, just mathematically,
there must be something
the
about that. Yeah.
Well, here's what I did. I thought, this is an easy enough game. Let me try to analyze it. So I wrote a program to run through it. And here's the basic strategy I came up with. If you stay in, obviously, if you have a pair, if you have a total of 13 or more.
Okay.
Or if you have any of these hands, 8-4, 7-5, 7-4, 6-5, 6-4, and 5-4. Anyway, I'm hoping that I can find someone to verify my analysis. That's what I came up with. And I came up with, for every $1 that you're betting on the ante, if you play that basic strategy, you'll lose about 3 1/3 cents. every time you play a hand in the long run.
All right.
So, and of course, like a lot of carnival games, there's a side bet that you can make that, has terrible house odds.
So it's got like
just
a
based on what you're
3.5% house edge, we'll say.
You could say it that. It's just that I hate to say house edge because sometimes you're only risking $1, other times you're risking $2, right? So it changes depend on. But if you just talk about expected value, that's what it comes down to.
Right. Okay.
But there's also a side bet where you're just betting on what your hand's going to be, regardless of what the dealer's
like if you're going to get a pair.
Yeah, it's just those typical side bets with a high house edge. So,
is there any side bet where you can win like $10,000 or
no? Because right now it's just a single deck.
Oh, okay.
Right. So the odds of something crazy happening aren't that big. Well, okay, jokers against aces. Right. That would probably be the most improbable thing, but it's not outrageously improbable. Right. So I think that might actually be one of the side bets is, jokers versus aces. So,
yeah. You have to have a shoe where you could get something weird happening.
Maybe. But then with
more jokers and you get 2 jokers, the dealer has 2 jokers.
Sure, a lot more. That might be something. But anyway, it's a game, Australia only right now. Adam said the creator said it might be coming to Singapore. I don't know when it's coming to the United States, but I just thought it was an easy enough game that we were able to kind of figure out. What do you think about how popular it might be? Because
I think people would like it because it's very easy.
It's very easy, but there's also no real decision. One thing people like about blackjack is, do I hit or do I stay there more? There's no decision.
You might
here.
get bored with it quickly because there's no decision.
There's no decision. At the same time, there's really no decision with 3-card poker either.
Right.
You stay in or you don't.
Right.
So I don't know. It's so simple. Yeah. It'd probably be a fast game. I can't.
Casinos would probably like it because it's fast.
I think so. Yeah, exactly. It'd be fast.
I mean, it's just boom, boom. It's like as fast as blackjack because most carnival games are slower than blackjack.
I think it'd be faster than blackjack because the dealer doesn't have to go to each player and get a decision.
There's no hitting or anything.
No, it's just the player's either in or not.
Right. You just deal out the cards and then
flip it over and then you pay.
They bet their money and you flip it over.
Right. And the payouts aren't that complicated. I don't know. It's one of those things where I really don't know. Would we like playing it? I don't know. Would the public like playing it? Would people who don't frequent casinos that often like playing it? Maybe.
Well, after this, we'll sit down. You be the dealer. I'll be the player. We'll play for 2 or 3 hours. We'll see how I like it.
After this tonight?
Yeah, after this tonight.
That's good. Adam, maybe if you go back to Adelaide Casino too, let us know if anybody's playing the game.
Right.
If it seems to be popular. So,
right.
Yeah.
If the creator's still standing there trying to hawk it. Come on, over here.
That's right. Well, staying with 11 or more.
Yeah.
Staying with 10 or more.
He's probably telling him so they're hoping that, the house will win and buy the game, right?
That's right, yeah,
He's probably just trying it out.
That's right. Hey, thanks to everybody who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to our voicemail hotline segment. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. Now, last episode, we said it doesn't matter whether or not you take odds. And maybe we need to expound on that a little bit more.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Hey, guys. It's Guillermo from the OC. I have a question in regards to what you guys were talking about last week with Eric Rosenthal taking odds. So I've changed my play a little bit into more making it last more than the big home run hit. So what I do now is I'll start at the table with just the pass line and backing up with some odds. And then as I hit numbers, I can then go, if I hit one number, then I can place a 6. If I hit 2 numbers, I can place an 8 or do a comeback. But it builds up based on how many numbers are hit so I don't get my bankroll wiped out. So usually I'm in for about $200 to $300 for a $10 table per se. My question is, based on what you said last time about odds, does it make sense to take odds? I remember hearing somewhere that you don't get rated for the odds. You only get rated for your pass line bet. So if the goal is to play as long as possible and enjoy myself at the tables, and I'm willing to be patient, is there a benefit in taking odds if that's my goal, is just to have a good time and play for a longer time and try to avoid the high variance? And also the problem is getting those weird looks of the dealer saying, hey, you don't want odds, because I've always learned to play a specific way where you always take odds. That's the smart way. That's the smart way to play. But now I'm wondering if maybe it's not based on my bankroll size and the goal of what I'm trying to do, which is play for a while, have a good time. Ideally, most of my sessions would last somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour and a half, and then I'll move on to something else. Appreciate the show. Glad what you guys do. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay.
Let me tell this story real quick before you answer this.
Sure.
Remember when we dealt craps? And not just then, but also even now, we'll be at a table and somebody, a new person, a newbie will come up and they'll say something like, yeah, I've heard that this is the best game and that this taking odds is, how you make your money. Mm-hmm. You'll hear that.
You'll hear that, how you make your money.
This is how you make your money. Mm-hmm. And both you and I have done this. We always tell people, yes, this is called true odds because the house has no mathematical edge on this bet. Mm-hmm. They pay you the exact true odds of that number coming up. But we always qualify it with, and this might help people, it doesn't mean you're going to win the bet.
Yes, that's true, right.
Because people in their minds associate, well, it's such a great bet, it must win a lot.
That's true, right? Yes,
right. And that's what's going through their head. Mm-hmm. And we always would qualify it with, it doesn't mean you're going to win that bet. It just means that when you do win that bet, you'll get paid what you deserve.
Yes, that's a good point because really, when you're taking odds, we're talking about pass line and come bets.
Right.
When you're taking odds on that number, chances are that bet is going to lose.
Right.
Now, the chances may be, 6-5.
Right. Or they could be 2-1.
Right. So, but that is a good point, right? It doesn't mean they're going to win. It's just when you do win, it gets paid.
You get what you deserve.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, it's a hard thing for, I think, people to wrap their mind around because, they hear, oh, craps is such a great game. And that odds bet is the thing you make so you can win money. Mm-hmm. And sure, when points are being made, having max odds out there and, all of a sudden you're making money.
Yeah, right.
But the points have to be made. Mm-hmm. And that just because you bet it doesn't mean it's going to win.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Mathematically, it doesn't matter in the long run whether or not you take odds, but we still recommend you take odds because we're recreational gamblers. We're there to play. It's one of the more fun bets at the table because of how it pays. The house is offering a fair wager. Now, getting to the questions, does it make sense to take odds? That's a little harder to answer. Does it make sense? Well,
it depends on what your motive is.
Right. And
if your motive is to play longer and to have less variance so that you can stay there as long as possible, then I wouldn't take odds.
That's true.
But if your motive is to have fun or, I want to win a lot today, then I would take odds.
Mm-hmm. And again, we emphasize this, if your bankroll can handle it. Because like we said, their variance when we say variance goes up, that means you're more likely to have big wins and big losses. Right. So because you've got more money out there. That's what we mean when it's higher variance. I remember once one of the guys that we play poker with, we were talking about craps once, and he said, oh, you always have to take max odds. I mean, that's the only smart thing to do. And I said to him, well, what if you're at a table with 100 times odds? You got a $5 bet. You're going to put $500 back? Oh, well, no. Of course not, right? That's an extreme example, but even at lower levels, it can really matter depending on your bankroll.
Right. And if you want to really understand how much that big wins, big loss thing, just stand next to me for a half hour.
Yes, right.
And Mark always gets on my case because I take full odds, and sometimes I have large line bets and full odds, and I make smaller place bets. So I really need those points to hit.
You do, right? I'm telling you, Mike, bet less on the line. You can still take full odds. You'll still have a lot of money out there.
Yeah, but I like to hit those big because I'm shooting for the big win. Now, when it works, it's great. I have huge wins. And when it doesn't work, the losses add up.
So we absolutely do not want to discourage people from taking odds. No. We would normally encourage it because it's fun. And if your bankroll can handle it, just be aware of the facts. That is, taking odds will result in higher variance, and it doesn't matter mathematically in the long run. And it is true, there are plenty of casinos that will not rate you on your odds.
Yeah, most of them, I'd say.
So that's another
and it's another hard thing to wrap around your head in the long run, because we say that, and I know what you mean, but a lot of people may not know what that means. The long run means your lifetime.
Yeah, it's true. Yes.
What's going to happen in your 2 hours that you're out at the casino on a specific day? Who knows?
Anything could happen.
Anything can happen. Now, if you're going to, like us, go every week for the rest of our lives, then, we're looking at a long run type situation.
Yeah. All right. We've talked a lot about odds the last 2 episodes, and it won't be the last time. I'm sure we'll talk about it again.
No, next week, odds and field goal kickers. That's the name, the topic of the show.
That's what the show's going to be from now on.
Goals.
Yeah. All right. Next call.
Mark and Dr. Mike, this is Garrett from Arkansas. I was calling in about roulette this time. My question is, what is the most unusual statistics you've seen on a roulette wheel? I'll tell you a story about a couple weekends ago. I went to the casino, and I noticed the roulette wheel usually is about 50-50 between green and red on the board. They have a board that shows what the recent hits were. Usually it's about 50-50, sometimes 48-52. That weekend it was 60% red, 40% black. So I thought maybe they put in the new wheel with the ball, and it's off by, 1 degree, and it's causing it to hit more reds. So I started betting hard on the red, ended up winning about $3,000 on that wheel over the course of about an hour and a half, and then decided to leave while I was still up on my money that weekend. So I came back the next weekend, and it was 50-50. So I asked the dealers, did they make any adjustments to the table, or, was that just kind of a coincidence, or what was going on? And they said, no one came and adjusted the table. We've never seen that before. So I was just wondering, do you have any experiences like that? Anyway, guys, enjoying the show. Thanks again. Bye.
This is the Mr. Ken story.
Oh, yeah, it is kind of like Mr. Ken. Yeah, let's talk about that at the end. Well, certainly there are bias wheels. But typically when a roulette wheel is bias, it's not in favor of one color over the other color, black versus red, because they're right next to each other all the way around the wheel. The red, black, they're green in there too for the zeros, but it alternates. So typically a bias wheel will favor a specific number or a range of numbers. A range of numbers on the wheel.
It hits between, 20 and 32 or something.
Well, or I know what you're saying. They're not all numerical around there. It would be a certain section.
But a certain section hits more than others.
Exactly.
Right?
So that's not typically what a bias wheel is going to do. Now, 60-40, that might be significant if you were talking about a really large sample size. But these displays at the casino, even 1,000 spins is not a big enough sample size. Yes, 60-40 would be unusual after 1,000.
The display has about 20 spins.
Well, I was looking online. There are some that go up to 1,000.
Oh, there are.
Yeah, and maybe even more.
Because like the ones at Rincon, they're like 20.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The casino wants you to see anomalies like that. Like, oh my gosh, look how many reds have come up within the last half hour, because then people will come to the table, oh, something's going on, when nothing is going on, right? It's just a small sample size. So in this case, no, it probably was not biased. It was just, you caught it at a good time. I know you made money on it, Garrett, and that's great. And just, that's going to happen in the short run like that.
The thing is, though, think about this, Garrett. You would not have made this phone call had you gone up, saw that it was 60% red, and then and you started betting red, and then it just came 50-50.
From there on, or maybe he broke even.
Yeah, you walked away breaking even or losing a little. You wouldn't even have thought about it. You wouldn't have made this call. You would have just
not.
thought,
it balanced out. which is another kind of a fallacy, but that's true. Yes, yeah. Now, back to his question, have we ever seen anything like this? We don't play that much roulette, but we have seen stuff like that happen at Keno.
Right.
Remember, we'll be sitting maybe in the restaurant, or even if we're at a craps table near a Keno, we'll look up, oh my gosh, look how many numbers on the bottom come up so often. If you've seen a Keno board, the first 40 numbers are on the top of the screen, the second 40 are on the bottom. Oh my gosh, look how lopsided it is.
When you're eating and, 20 numbers come up and it's like 16 of them are on the bottom, you're like, wow, that's kind of weird. And then, 2 games later or something, it's the same. It's like, 15 on the bottom and 5 on the top. You're thinking, well, that's, wow,
weird. Something's going on. Right?
Yeah. And then, no.
Yeah,
it's just random.
It's fun. It's interesting to see stuff like that. Yeah. But no, it's probably just a random situation.
What happens is I see that, I'm going to bet top bottom on the next game. I bet top bottom and, it's like
11-9. I know, it pays nothing. Even like 13-7? No, I think it has to be like 14
like 14 or 15 you have to. Which is hard to do, 15 and 5.
It is.
Right?
You think, well, how hard is it? It's hard.
It's hard.
All right, last call.
Hi, Mark, and hi, Dr. Mike. This is Robin from Connecticut. As I have been visiting MGM Springfield, I have 3 questions, if you don't mind, concerning Pai Gow. That was a little different at MGM Springfield, so I want to know if this is the norm. But anyways, the first question is, the dealers were rather green, and so they had this automatic printout, computer printout in front of every dealer that told them the house way. But before they turned their cards over, they checked that out, and then they turned the cards over. And I'm wondering, how did the machine know what cards they had? If maybe it comes from the shuffle master or something, I don't know. But that's my question number one. How did the printout know exactly what the cards were going to be since they hadn't been shown yet?
So let's stop the call there. We'll just answer this question. Yes. Basically, the cards are coming out of the shuffle machine. And so the system that Robin probably saw is by Shuffle Master. It's a system called iVerify. The letter I, lowercase I, and then verify. Kind of like iPhone. That's what displays for the dealer how they should set their hand. And it works in conjunction with the Ideal, again, lowercase Ideal, specialty shuffler, also from Shuffle Master, that scans the cards when they're dealt. So the system knows what the dealer's hand is, and so he just looks at the display and it shows what he should.
It tells him what to do.
It basically shows the 2-card hand that he should play, beforehand.
And dealers are becoming grocery clerks.
Yes, right. They just run the scan over.
They
don't
just
have
run
to know.
the thing. They don't have to know the price of bananas.
Certainly on these systems, there's a lot less training that needs to go, or maybe not less training, but quicker training.
They
don't have to learn as much.
Well, and from the casino standpoint, less errors.
Exactly. That's
a lot
right.
less errors.
Yep.
Right.
Question number 2. The side bet, the fortune bonus, was not allowed to be used with single dollars or 2 or 3. MGM Springfield management said it had to be in quantities of $5. That you couldn't even have a $6 bet. It had to be 5, 10, 15. Some people probably wouldn't even play it. And we know that most of the time if you bet under 5, you don't get the envy. But this was, you could only play it with $5 minimum. And so I'm wondering if you know of any other places that you visit that happens.
We got a call a little while back about someone who saw this happening at Four Queens.
Right.
Where there was a side bet where it had to be at least $2 and not $1, where they had seen the side bet offered so many more times. And,
right.
The only reason is just greed, really, on part of the casino.
Right. It's just a casino greed thing.
Now, as far as having to be multiples of 5, I think that's just to make the payouts easier for the dealers.
Probably.
Right. So that if they have a $6 bet out there, it's like,
they don't have to figure out.
Yeah.
anything.
So that's what I would guess.
Because they know what a $5 pays.
Yes.
It's easy to multiply it by 2 or 3 or 4.
Just do it like that.
Right.
So it's probably a combination of making it easier for the dealers, quicker too, to pay it out.
Right.
And requiring people to maybe they make more money. Our casino's thinking, I don't know, do they make more money when it's higher like that? Maybe. So
maybe they make a little more, but I think they don't really care about making more. They care about no errors.
Yeah, that
and
could be.
So they're making it easy for the dealers.
Yeah.
And that is easier for the dealers, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
no, definitely. Yep.
And the third, I wanted to know, sometimes the houseway differs from casino to casino. Most of the time it's pretty much the same, but sometimes it's different, whether it's use of the ace or when 2 pairs would, is the houseway or whatever the case may be. So is that number one? Well, this is a question with 2 parts. How's that? Boy, you're getting a real bang for the buck here today. Question number 1 is, do different Pai Gow tables have different houseways? And the second part of that is there a houseway that is better for the player, or is there a better houseway that is better for the house? All right. Well, I guess that's enough for me. Thanks a lot, guys. I love what you do, and hope to see you soon. Ciao.
Yeah.
So, nice hearing from Robin.
From Robin over at
that.
NE Time Gambling. That's
right.
NE for New England, NE Time Gambling. Yeah, there are many different different casinos have different houseways, typically. Before this system came out, there'd be a set of rules that a dealer would have to memorize or at least have a copy of close by if they needed to reference it.
Right.
I remember asking years ago, I want to say it was at Fremont, hey, can I have your house rules? And they gave me a copy. Other places won't. They said, well, we won't, we're not going to tell you. So,
well, that's ridiculous.
But yes, so there are, depending on where you go, you might get different house rules. Are there some that are better for the player versus better for the dealer? Sure, but we couldn't tell you where it is, where the better ones would be. We couldn't
No.
say, oh, New York has a better one than...
No. And, it depends on what hand you've got.
Well, yes, of course. And
Right.
see, that's the thing. If you knew exactly what a houseway was for a casino,
Right.
you could develop the perfect player's way to play against that.
Right.
Now, you wouldn't beat the game because they still take that 5% commission still on most Pie Gout games.
Right, and
So
they
it doesn't
have the
matter how
push
good
edge.
you are. Yeah, right. And they have the push advantage, right, on
Right.
that. So, yes, there are better houseways for that. They try to make it easy. There's no
Right.
They don't want a perfect houseway because then it would be too complicated for the dealers. Although
Right,
with
and
this with his new system, if they wanted to,
Right. That's the advantage.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to make it easy because the computer tells you how to set the hand.
Right.
Dealer doesn't have to worry about, is this the right way? Or, he doesn't have to remember a lot of nuances.
Right.
Because it might be, one card different makes him set the hand differently.
sure, it's a
Right.
6 versus a 7, and now
Right.
it changes the way that they play.
Right.
Certainly, that's to the casino's advantage with these new systems. So, you're better off finding a table that doesn't have this iVerify system. At the same time, there's no perfect houseway because the house doesn't know how the players are going to play.
Right.
The best that you could do is you could develop a perfect houseway playing against itself.
Right.
If you had I could come up with a houseway that's perfect if the other side's playing the same houseway.
The same houseway. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly true. Because, and for instance here, if a player has two pair, say they've got 3s and 5s,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got king 10.
Right.
Well, some players are going to play, pair of 5s, pair of 3s.
Right. Which is wrong.
Which is
I think.
wrong.
That's
right.
my opinion.
But other players are going to play 2 pair, 3s and 5s, and king 10 on top.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Because that's a weird kind of hand. Now, if you had 3s and 5s, ace, king.
Sure, then it's obvious.
Then it's
Pretty much
obvious.
anybody who plays the game
Right,
is going to keep the 2 pair behind.
Going to keep
right.
2 pair behind and play ace king because it's so close to a pair anyway. But king 10.
But you're
or
right.
King 9. It's,
You find, 50 different players, and,
Right.
some may go one way, some another, and the house
Right.
doesn't know. So you can't create a perfect houseway
right,
against
and
that.
the house wouldn't know that. So how would they, know? How would they be able to play their 6s and 7s? Queen, Jack, or better than that, like ace 8 or something, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
how would they play that?
Yeah. So maybe we answered Robin's question. I think.
Yeah,
I think we did.
Or we muddled the waters as usual.
And then usually, we say, "Oh, hey, they explained that pretty well," and then we go for another 15 minutes. It's like, well, now I'm confused again.
right.
Right.
Missed the field goal. That's what we did.
That's right.
We missed the field goal.
Hey, we want to say good luck to everybody who's going to Not VIMF. It's actually this weekend. There, when this
it
posts,
is?
when this
Okay.
posts, people will probably already be there for Not VIMF. So not.
Yeah.
Vegas
we're not
Internet-
going because I've gone so many times this summer.
Yeah,
and
I
then
couldn't
I wanna
swing
go
it
in
either,
December,
especially
and
with work right
I
now.
got so much going on.
Yeah, but good luck to everybody going on that trip.
Yeah,
Hope you have a
have
good time.
fun and-
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, Jeff and Julie recently started listening to your podcast and love it. Thanks. Karma donation for our upcoming trip to Las Vegas, October 2nd through October 9th. Wish us luck. Oh, well, good luck. They're probably
So
back now,
they
so
got
hopefully
back
they have
today.
good luck.
Yeah,
They're
hopefully.
very good. Also, a donation from Alton. He says, a Karma donation in advance of our trip to Greenbrier this weekend. And I got an email from Alton, too. He said he and his wife got married there 2 years ago. And he also mentioned that Greenbrier recently opened a sports book. It's in West Virginia, and they legalize sports wagering. So he's
great.
looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that's nice. They should do that in California.
Yeah, they really should.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have to bet offshore.
I'm not sure that we are, Mike. I don't know if we're allowed to say what we're doing as far as that goes.
As far as that goes, okay. If you work for the FBI, ignore that last comment.
Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonnet.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonnet@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonnet and on Facebook at facebook.com/you can bet on that. Let me just say something here too. We're on both of those, and it used to be that when I would tweet, it would also copy that over to Facebook, and that doesn't happen anymore. They got rid of that feature. So if people are on Facebook and they're not seeing a lot of messages from us, that's why. I'll probably have to think about posting to both spots or come up with some scheme or
you need
write
something
a program
more to do.
Yeah, really. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. All right, Dr. Mike.
Well, I just want to say, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, Alex Spanos passed away.
Oh, that's right. Former Chargers owner. Well, okay. Chargers
the
owner,
current
yes.
Charger owner passed away. Now his children will inherit it. Dean, his eldest son, was actually running the team because I think he's had Alzheimer's for the last for the last few years and been out of it. But I have to say, as much as grief as we give the Chargers and stuff, and Dean Spanos, you know, the person who's running it now, Alex Spanos loved football, and he would have done anything to promote the Chargers.
Okay.
And I think if he had had any say in it, they'd still be here in San Diego.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say that because I thought he was a square guy. Now his son,
all right,
you take it for what it is.
Yep.
And we are very excited about football.
Okay.
Still.
Yes, I agree so, yeah.
Making a lot of bets. And now we're excited about hockey and baseball and basketball.
All the sports.
All the sports. What a great time of the year.
That's right. We're excited about rowing and
field
college
hockey,
tennis.
Field hockey. Hey, the high school my daughter goes to, the field hockey team, set the record for most consecutive wins by a high school field hockey team.
Really? In the country?
In the country, not just in
Really?
Yeah, they had San Diego section, then California, then country.
Wow, nice.
So there you go.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get some money down on them.
Yeah, see if they'll take that bet. Yeah. Hey, they take minor league hockey.
Yeah, we can bet on the Gulls here if we want.
Anyway, so that's what I have to say about that. It's a great time of the year for us because we got sports all week, and then we go to the casino.
Yeah, and you're all excited to go back because you had a big weekend.
Because I had a big weekend. You know, my wife wins on Friday night. I win on Saturday nights.
You win on Monday when you should be at work.
I should have been. Well, I had a reason.
Yeah, I know.
Work.
You had a reason. There's always a reason.
There's always a reason to go to the casino, Mark.
That's right.
You of all people should know.
Oh,
that.
I know. You're preaching to the choir. All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Mark, that was wonderful. I had no idea you were so talented. The audience is going to love you.